Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer, and I'll give you guys an overview of how to add blockchain analytics into your project based on my previous experiences as a data analyst and developer in the blockchain space. As an agenda, I'll be giving a high overview of my background, the challenges that I've dealt with blockchain data, the analytics tools that exist, the current landscape of tools, and demo what I have done in the past with SQL and REST APIs with the various tools that I will outline. And at the end, everyone will get an NFT just by attending this talk. So, whoopee. I'm Jennifer, and historically, I was a data analyst. And I got into the Web3 space because I was very curious about data transparency and how blockchain can be used to enable efficiencies in the supply chain space. And shortly after I got into Web3, I launched Mintgate, which is a membership NFT platform. I actually started off as in operations and community because it's really hard for a data analyst to be involved into Web3. About a year ago, I joined NFT Hack, which is a hackathon sponsored by ETH Global. And I learned how to fetch or query through my first API using Covalent APIs. Covalent is a blockchain data API provider, actually based in Vancouver, so also Pacific Northwest. And I actually joined their community and was part of their ambassador program and actually learned other toolings, other dev toolings in the Web3 space through their bounty and ambassador program. So ultimately, what happened was that as a data analyst, I had to become a developer to really participate in this space and also get the data that I needed. And that's really the main dilemma that we're seeing in blockchain data. Data analysts have a really hard time getting involved because there isn't sufficient tooling for them to be able to grasp with the data. However, creators and communities, they want to be able to engage in the data and also are looking for metrics to see how their tokens are performing on the blockchain. What is blockchain data? Blockchain data is classified as information stored on any interaction or entry on a specific blockchain or open ledger. As an example, if you purchase a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, what you're doing is you are saying, hey, I'm willing to pay this price or give this price to a contract, or if the NFT is in a wallet, go to this wallet. And then once I'm able to transfer those tokens to purchase that NFT will be sent to my wallet. Or if you place a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT on sale, most platforms handle it by you're saying, hey, this NFT, I want to place this on sale. You're actually transferring that NFT to that platform's wallet. So for example, OpenSea's wallet. So that's one transaction. And then if you send your friend a Bored Ape Yacht Club, which you probably won't because they're really expensive, and why would you give that to a friend? That is a transfer to someone else's wallet. So all of these actions on the blockchain are actually being stored as data points. And the biggest challenge is that all of these data points are being stored in one database, aka the blockchain. So how many of you guys have worked with SQL databases in the past? Well, a whole lot. And in a centralized database, let's pretend that Bored Ape Yacht Club was not an NFT. It was a digital points or digital good or digital items such as reward points or game points. What you would do is you would set up one database for the organization, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then you guys would have multiple tables for each use case. For example, if I were to purchase a Bored Ape Yacht Club digital item, that would be maybe a sales table. Transferring it to a friend might be a transfer table. But in the blockchain, you have one database that everyone uses. So your Bored Ape Yacht Club, name your favorite NFT collection, whatever is your favorite NFT collection, World of Woman. All of them use that one blockchain and that one database. And all of these use cases are also stored on the same database with no different tables. So what you have is a giant mess of data that isn't contextualized and isn't organized really well. Here are some of the use cases that creators and communities has approached Mintgate on our platform. So they ask us, how many sales have I made? How many people have traded my NFTs? How many people own my NFTs? How many people have minted from my contract? And as a result, it's really hard for us to organize and find this data for them because all this data is just in one blockchain database, and people are interacting with the blockchain in many different ways. Not only with Mintgate's contract, but other contracts that are minted through the Mintgate platform. So as a result, for example, when I was trying to help a creator find how many sales that they made from their NFT collection, I was getting all the NFT transaction data, and then I was doing a whole bunch of filters, while statements to just potentially getting that sales data, as having to interpret which transaction was actually a sale. And oftentimes that means you're placed on the developer to make that decision. And honestly, I don't even know if I really actually made the right call on which transaction was actually sales data. So there's a lot of challenges that developers actually have to know how to read the transactions, but also need to actually write the right code as well. So I guess I gave them the sales data, but there has to be better tooling for developers to be able to not only give the right data, but give the right data quickly. Blockchain is an open ledger, but it's really hard to understand what is happening. To express that, let's read a blockchain explorer. So each blockchain has an explorer or a site that allows you to access all the details of each transaction on the blockchain. For example, on Ethereum, this explorer is called Etherscan. On Polygon, it's called Polygon Scan. So here is a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain. And this is on Etherscan. So let's actually guess what this is doing. Any guesses? So it seems like there's a transaction hash, there's a status, there's a block, timestamp, transaction action, from, interacted with. Any guesses on what is happening in this transaction? Yes, go ahead. Yes. That is correct. In this case, you are selling an NFT because you're transferring amount of ETH, and one wallet address is receiving this NFT. So good job. And then how about this one? This is also another transaction. What do you think happened here? Mint. Great. Perfect. And the reason why you would know that is you would see that it's from a null address, and then you're actually then putting the NFT into another address. But what I'm trying to get here is so both use cases. Use case number one is buying. Second use case is minting. It's all the same data being presented to you unless you have really intricate understanding of how the transactions are stored. It's kind of really hard to know what is going on. So all of them had transaction hash, status, block, timestamp, et cetera, all of these data points. And you had to kind of dive in. So for the selling, you had to dive into interacted with and probably tokens transferred to say, hey, there's some sort of price that people are transferring in, and it's going from one person to another person, or not one wallet to another person. And here, it's also the same thing. You have to dive deep into the interacted with and tokens transferred to say, hey, if it's from a null address to a valid address, that's a mint. But you have to have this intricate knowledge to actually know that is happening. It's not Etherscan is not telling you this is a sale or this is a mint. So establishing context on the blockchain is extremely hard. All of the data points might just really look the same to you, and they're all stored in the same way. But there are new and upcoming tools that are helping people of all different backgrounds be able to solve this issue. I'll be giving an outline of all the tools that MintGate has recommended to our creators, but also tools that I have used myself for the business or to build other features for our creators. I classify tools that are no code as absolutely no writing of any code or no adding of any programming language. So these, you have to rely on platforms to provide these data dashboards. They're really great for creators. For example, OpenSea and Rarible or any platform, they might provide data or sales analytics on their platform, and you're really supposed to be looking at their metrics and see how they're organizing data. And I think that someone who wants to become an NFT or a token manager or community manager, they can simply use the data analytics or sales dashboards on the platforms that they mint in order to provide that information. So here are two examples of no-code dashboards on OpenSea and Rarible, and they also just provide you these dashboards as you are minting on the platform, almost like a CRM or SaaS. And the second is our low-code tools. These are really friendly for analysts, and there's some code involved, but it's not intensive in the fact that you need a front end as well as a back end. They're really great for analyzing data quickly, and I think that in the future there will be job roles such as blockchain data analysts, Web3 business intelligence engineer, where they can quickly query through all of this data and not have to spin up any front end, but just be able to analyze data quickly. And the biggest tool in this market is Dune Analytics. I have used Dune Analytics myself to analyze how well the MintGate collection is doing. And how Dune Analytics works is they create a Postgres SQL table for aggregated data or requests a table for aggregated data, or you can request a table for a specific contract address, and they will create a Postgres table in the back end for you to query through. So for example, on Ethereum, you can actually go to Dune Analytics and just query through the NFT_trades table and be able to see all of the Ethereum NFT trades, all the NFT trades on Ethereum. Or in my case, I had a specific use case on seeing all the data in the MintGate contract. So you can request them to query the MintGate contract or any contract address to a table. And here is an example of one of the queries that I have created. You can actually scan that QR code and actually go see the live query /dashboard. What I'm doing here is I'm inputting a SQL query. So I have a select statement where I'm grouping the call block time by week. Then I am summing up all the sales prices and then grouping all that by weekly, which what happens is I'm getting returned a SQL result where it's telling me the number of royalty eligible sales that we had made in a week. You can also apply parameters to a query. What's really valuable about Dune Analytics is all of the dashboards that people have created are public. And some people have created really impactful dashboards that you can only just put in a contract address, and then contract address or wallet address, and then it will return that data for that specific contract or wallet address. For example, this is one of my favorite dashboards that a developer created. It's a collection sales by address. You can scan that QR code and get to it, and you then can input an NFT contract or a wallet address, and it will input, it will return like all of the sales data by NFT contract or wallet address. The value of this is you can actually build a lot of dashboards without having to code if you want to, but also you could decide to, if you have SQL background, to then fork any of these queries and manipulate them yourself. And then what I say is next is high code solutions. These are code heavy, a lot of times REST APIs. You use them to like build apps with data. So you would have a front end, perhaps a back end, but normally it's a front end that you would probably put into production. And the job roles for if you know how to use high code tools, are blockchain data analysts, full stack developer working with Web3 apps, and then Web3 front end developer. And some of the biggest players in the space are Covalent, which is the API provider that I mentioned that I was part of their community and actually learned how to fetch APIs, Morales, and Mnemonic. I actually put the graph at like a separate line because the graph kind of has a different use case where you can actually create your own APIs, not just like using their APIs. And really the value of high code solutions is you as a developer can manipulate certain data, but also be able to fetch data that they have already indexed on your behalf and put it into your application. Here is an example of one of those dashboards that have been built on Mnemonic, and I will go through this dashboard. Here you see dashboard analytics that are very specific to this collection, that are maybe a little bit more complicated than just running a specific SQL query, or you want to have like better graphics than just running a SQL query, and like that platform is building that front end for you. So they're able to list the collection stats, transactions, the largest sales, recent transactions, top owners, and attributes, all without you needing to write a whole bunch of filters and while statements and other statements, or just you figuring out which transaction is which because they've already done the indexing for you. And then we'll just go take a look at one of the code snippets here on how they're able to do that. All right. Actually, what you can do is you can actually scan this QR code to get early access into their, to get key access. One of the challenges with some of these tools that they are in beta, so they're only letting a certain amount of developers to utilize before they fully launch. And Mnemonic is, they launch, but they have to sign up to get an API key. And here's a tutorial on how you're able to build real-time price tracking for an NFT collection. For anyone who has worked with NFT data, you would know that it's really difficult to find what is the sales price of an NFT because you actually have to make the decision on what is the sales price, and actually have to take a look at the transaction amounts and also the gas fees to kind of see like which one was the sales price. In this case, Mnemonic is actually doing that work for you, and you kind of skipping that step of guessing or figuring that out. And how they're able to do it is they have a specific API endpoint related to sales data. And then you would fetch that API endpoint and it would return you a JSON result where you can query through or create a graph out of. Like so, all of this. And then you're able to just pass that into either the chart.js or D3 or any other data chart library that you have on the front end. And with that, we've also used like other providers such as Covalent and Morales, and there are other API providers as well. And you might be able to find data APIs from some of the no-code providers. A lot of times they're using these APIs to create their no-code dashboards. So for example, OpenSea and Rarible also have their own APIs where you can fetch data and be able to create those same dashboards on your platform. With that, I do have a few moments for questions, but I really appreciate for you guys listening to the challenges of blockchain data and how I've been able to think through them. And you can scan this QR code. It will send you to Heartbottom's website, which is a community NFT, like a member of our NFT community at Mintgate. And you'll be able to fill out a form that just either asks you for your Twitter handle or your email, and I'll send you the link drop link. With that, I can take a few questions. Yes, I see someone. No? Oh, Peter. Yes.
Much of what we talked about was contextualizing the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And your role, your job, your company, it's not the primary focus of what you do to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that this is a major problem for you? It comes up day to day? Is it something that's rare, like a curiosity? How does it fit into your world generally?
Yes, so we work with a lot of creators and communities that not only want to mint NFTs, but they actually want to understand how their NFTs are being interacted on the blockchain. What we see is creators, they want the decentralization of NFTs, but they want the same Web 2 experiences of being Web 2 business experience and being able to understand how their NFTs are actually being performed on the blockchain. So they want CRMs, they want dashboards, they want accounting tools, and that's how the conversation ultimately spirals into. Is they're looking for ways to really understand how their NFTs are doing from a business standpoint. Yes.
Do you think it would be cool if they could just make Etherscan tell you all that? Like, would that be good?
I think that would be good. I think the biggest challenge that Etherscan would have, as well as some of these high code tools already have, is that they actually need to work with the NFT marketplaces to understand what actually was a sale. For example, on OpenSea, I just showed you guys. I just mentioned that when you place an NFT for sale, that's actually being transferred to. That NFT is being transferred to OpenSea's wallet, and then that's how it's being placed for sale. But in other cases, that might not be the case, where if you're actually placing an NFT for sale, it's being transferred to a wallet address. Maybe it's transferred to a contract address. Maybe it's still in your wallet. It really depends on the smart contract. So contextualizing smart contracts and having better standards for smart contracts is probably the first point of action, and then the second point of action would be then working with the specific platforms on how they handle their smart contracts, or what actual functions are being fired in order to do certain actions. Thank you. Thank you.